Hi, it is Wednesday. Let's get started. Today we're talking about people that have sent in letters regarding anything religious. This one is from Margaret in Illinois. We moved out of state. We found a new church that was only 15 miles from our new farm, which, believe it or not, is close for us. We're in the middle of nowhere. The problem is the church just feels creepy. The minister has strange vibes. This is a place of worship. How can this be? Let's be honest. Not everybody feels good or you like the minute you meet them. And again, is it the person that you're not feeling comfortable with? Is it the ghost standing next to them that you're picking up on? Do they have negative energy on them? Sometimes you really don't know why you get that feeling. In this case, the whole church feels creepy to you. And, I guess I would wonder, are there any other members that you have met there that you actually like and you can confide in them? Or sit down and have a talk with the minister. Maybe he's a shy person. Which would not be a good job for him to be in if he's not comfortable around other people. But there could be all kinds of reasons why the place does not feel comfortable to you. That, or you just miss your old church really, really bad. So I would keep on trying, and if it still feels uncomfortable for you and unbearable, you might have to drive a little bit farther and find another church that you like. But my whole life I went to Catholic school, and our nuns always wore full garb. They weren't like they're dressed now. And just because they were holy and nuns, I didn't like all of them either. And not all of them were really nice. So people are human, including ministers and priests and anybody that are in the religious orders. Okay, this one is a little long, but it's interesting. This is from Edna in New York. My 7-year-old daughter goes to a parochial alternative school. Even though it's pricey, we felt it was worth the education. At first she loved it. That lasted about 10 days. Then she was making herself sick so she wouldn't have to go to school. She hated school. She didn't want to go. And she said she was afraid of the boy that had an ugly, scary voice. He wanted her to be bad and mean to the other children. And she said, this is not my daughter's nature. She's really a sweet child. And then all of a sudden, Susie was real happy and wanted to go to school. And I asked her, the boy with the creepy voice, is he gone? She says, no, he's my friend now. Okay. But she was in trouble all the time in school. The principal's office, she was there for bullying, and she was actually suspended for 3 days because she was being so naughty in school. She was fine at home till she was suspended. Then she was very mean to her little brother, pushing him, shoving him, biting him. She was really, really nasty. And then she went back to school, and when she came home, she was okay again with him. So do you have any idea what's going on here? Okay, first of all, let me say this. Any school is full of earthbound spirits. Grade school, middle school, high school, colleges, all of them have something going on there. The children that are, the earthbound spirits that are in middle school are that age, middle school that age, high school that age. A high school ghost is not going to hang out with a first grader. So same age range. And if this little boy caught her eye in school, obviously she was afraid of him, but then he gained her confidence or her trust. And that's why she started listening to him. And from your letter, I'm assuming she's the oldest of your children. And maybe this was a little boy that she looked up to, even though he had a scary voice. And if she was doing what he wanted her to do, look all the energy he was getting. And apparently, when she was off for Saturday and Sunday, he could contain himself. But when she got suspended, he decided to come home with her. And he started pulling the same shenanigans when he was at home, making her be mean or stubborn or bite her baby brother. And so this is positively what's probably going on. And it doesn't make any difference whether it's a religious school, a charter school, a parochial school, a public school. Kids, ghosts are everywhere. And so just because you decided to go to that particular school doesn't mean that you were going to avoid any of this, because it can absolutely positively go on. Now, there are a couple things that you can do. And the first thing that I would suggest is, have you had a talk with the counselor at school or the principal? Even if you think you're afraid you're going to be laughed at, I might sort of feel them out and see what they say. If she said, that she had told you that there was a little boy with an ugly voice. Of course, don't be upset if they tell you that you probably need some counseling, because that usually happens. But if you're not going to get any help on that end, then what you need to do is start misting her with sea salt water before she leaves the house. In other words, put a couple tablespoons of sea salt inside of a misting bottle, a squirt bottle, spray the air, and let her walk through it before she walks through the door. That will put a barrier around her where this little boy will not be able to get close to her. If you want to know for sure, the next time there's a break from school, you already had Christmas, maybe there'll be a spring break coming up. Now that I don't have kids in school, I don't really pay attention to those days off anymore. But on a day that she's off from school and has been off for 2 or 3 days, call and let me see if the little boy is there with her. And then I'll be able to give you some further instructions or different things that we can try. But for right now, I really think that would work the best. This one is from Carol in Connecticut. All my relatives are buried in a Catholic cemetery. Sometimes when I visit their graves, I feel like I'm being watched and I don't see anyone around. Or if there are people around, they're working on their graves and they're not paying any attention to me. Is this a ghost that's doing this? And why would they be hanging out in a Catholic cemetery? They can hang out wherever they want. And it doesn't make any difference what denomination it is. If it's a public cemetery, it really does not make any difference. And usually, earthbound spirits do not hang out in cemeteries. Everybody in the cemetery is dead. Who are they going to get energy from? Now, I'm not saying that somebody that has not crossed over, a mother-in-law, a grandma, somebody doesn't swoop through the cemetery and make sure somebody's taking care of her headstone and her grave. But that does not necessarily mean that they are hanging out there all the time, because again, they don't eat, they don't sleep, they need human energy. So on days that you are there, that's a very good possibility that you are feeling something that is visiting their grave. The other thing is this: a lot of times when you visit relatives' graves, especially if it's the anniversary of their death or their birthday or a holiday, they are in the light, but they are there with you also. You could actually be picking up on one of your relatives with you, not necessarily somebody that is earthbound and shouldn't be there. Okay, this one I have a picture with this one. This one is, and I was so surprised, Lubinka from Budapest. Came a long way. She wrote, I love my church, but I would like to know what this fog is. This was taken without flash, so I didn't interrupt the Monsignor. It was on a holy day, and the church was really crowded. The pictures before and after did not have the fog. So let me show you what this looks like. Okay. See where the arrow is pointing, the big bunch of fog right there. And if you look on the side of that wooden box or dress or whatever that is back there, there's sort of some squiggly lines there also. This is definitely an earthbound spirit. This is not somebody that has crossed over. I think in the back of this, right here, I think there's an orb there, which it would be a good one. But this business here, and the fog, and that's my doorbell, and we're going to ignore it. So you've got a little bit of both going on here. And maybe the earthbound spirit was just there with one of the parishioners visiting. I would have no way of knowing who it is just from a picture. But that definitely is what that is. And here is another one. This is from a Methodist church in Arkansas. Again, taken out without flash. This one is just plain pretty. Look how it's all sparkly and everything. This is obviously not an earthbound spirit. This is a good spirit. So, and now they're going to bang on my front door because I'm not paying attention. So definitely, this is a good one, and you don't have to worry about this. Next week, we will be just taking normal letters and probably some follow-up on this. On Saturday, April 25th, I will be at the Merry-Go-Round Museum from noon to 3 in Sandusky. It should be pretty interesting. We have permission to go all over the museum where nobody is actually allowed to go. So it might be fun to see exactly who's there. And I am so happy Mercury retrograde is over. That makes me smile. I love it when it's over. And the last thing is we'll just take regular questions next week. But the following week, we are definitely going to do questions of law of abundance. So send them in. Send them in if you've had some really good results. Ask questions if you haven't. Thanks, and have a great week.